All right.
And everyone thinks, oh, they had lower prices. No, they had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Now, some people will correct me because they always love to correct me, even though I'm right about everything. But some people like to correct me, and they say,
I'm right about everything. Absolutely everything. Look, we have a full day of politics ahead of us. We're going to start off with the Trump cabinet meeting. I didn't know this was happening. Nobody told me. I'm hearing this for the first time. So we're going to watch the cabinet meeting that is taking place right now. Then we will head into question period. And then that will probably be today's live stream, unless anything else pops up. Anything absolutely insane. Today's live stream, unless... Oh my god, don't want to hear myself twice. Alright, we're good. Good to go. Let's hop right back into it.
Say 48 years. I say it's not 48 years, it's much more. But they say it's the worst inflation that we've had in 48 years. I say ever. But whether it's 48 years or ever, it's pretty bad. We had the worst inflation that we've ever had. Since last January, we've stopped inflation in its tracks. And there is still more to do. There's always more to do, but we have it down to a very good level. It's going to go down a little bit further. You want to have a little tiny bit of inflation. Otherwise, that's not good either. Then you have a thing called deflation. And deflation can be worse than inflation. But we have it almost, we'll soon be at a perfect level, but we inherited the worst inflation. But we have 20 states that are now selling gasoline at less than the $2.75, think of that, $2.75, and it was at $5 under Sleepy Joe. Grocery prices are down with the cost of Thanksgiving turkey this year down 33%. It was lower than 33% lower than under the Biden administration. Egg prices are way down 86%, thank you. And mortgage rates, despite the fact that we have an incompetent chairman of the Fed, a real dope, who should reduce rates. I saw even Jamie Dimon said he should be reducing rates. I never saw Jamie Dimon say that. I wonder why he said that. But he really said it because he's right. But we have a guy that's just a stubborn ox who probably doesn't like your president, your favorite president. But
a stubborn ox. He smells like absolute feces. What's up, Alan? How's it going? What's up, Spider-Man? How's it going? We have a couple things to get into here. Obviously, the cabinet meeting being the big one. And then we have question period. It's your birthday today. Happy birthday, Alan. Happy birthday. Big shout out. Big day. Big celebration. Big hype. Huge, fantastic day.
They're going to be coming down. We'll be announcing somebody probably early next year for the new chairman of the Fed. I talked to Scott about taking the job, but he doesn't want it. You got the greatest job here.
Yes, sir.
Right? He said, no, I want to stay chairman. I want to stay right where we are, Treasury. And I think we're doing really great, aren't we?
We're doing great, sir. It's a great team to be part of.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Under my executive order to lower prescription drug prices, which I think is the single biggest thing we've ever done that nobody writes about because you're fake news. I've made unprecedented deals along with Bobby and Oz and all of the people that work on it. A lot of people that you wouldn't even think work on it, but they do, to slash drug prices by 200%, 300%, 400%, 500%, 600%, 700%, 800%. Nobody's ever heard of it before because I instituted favored nations and no nation agreed to do it. And then I said to the nations, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to charge you 100% tariff, which is more money than we're talking about. And they said, sir, we'd love to do it. Please, we would be honored to do it. And they agreed that they would go along with the whole thing. Nobody thought you could do it because they felt, number one, you couldn't get the drug companies to do it. So we're paying, as an example, for the, let's call it the fat drug, FAT, for fat people. Anybody use it at the table? Don't ask. But the fat drug was $135. Think of that. For certain people, $1,300 for certain countries, $1,300 in New York. So in New York, it was $1,300. And in London, it was $135. And a friend of mine called me, he said, what is this? Why is it? He got used to paying $1,300. Well, now what we have.
Well, Alan, you very well might get your birthday wish because Mark Carney is actually going to attend question period. I can't believe he's actually showing up to his job today. He's been in Ottawa, I think, every day this week and hasn't attended once. The amount of times, I think you can count on both hands how many times he's actually been in the House of Commons for question period. So there you go. You might actually get your wish today.
Have it down to is, Bobby, what's the number? Like 150 or something? We have it down to a low number, don't we?
Yeah, it's around 100, 125, 150.
Think of that. So we got it down from $1,300 to $125 to $140, depending on various countries. In other words, we're paying the lowest price, tied for the lowest price in the world. It's, people said you could never do that because you couldn't get the countries to agree to it. I did. Every country agreed to it because I said, if you're not going to agree to it, that's okay, I'm going to charge you tariffs. And as soon as I said that, they said, we agree. And then we had to be a little tough with the drug companies, but they came along. The bigger problem was the countries. The countries just wouldn't go along with it, but they did. Every country. So we have reduced drug prices by 500, 600, 700, 800, 900%, depending on the drug, depending on the company, depending on all of the different factors involved. Nobody's ever even thought of drug reductions like that, price reductions. And I told you the story that in my first term, I was so proud of myself because I reduced drugs. It was the first time in 28 years that drug prices were reduced. It was 1/4%, 1/4%. And I was so proud of myself. I said, it's the first time in 28 years that drug prices went down over the course of a year, over the course of a presidency. 1 year. 1/4%. I had a news conference. I was so proud. Now I got them down, not 1/4%. I got them down 400, 500, 600% and more. And the fake news won't write about it. And it's going to have a huge impact on healthcare because a big part of it's buying drugs, buying prescription drugs. It's going to have a huge positive impact because Obamacare is a disaster. I said it years ago, and I say it now, and the money should be paid, taken away from the insurance company. Obamacare was made to make the insurance companies rich. Their stocks have gone up 1,000% in a short period of time because the money goes to the insurance company. I want the money to go to the people. Let all the money go to the people, and let the people go out and buy their own health care. And I see on television, people are advertising now, we will help you buy health care. We will go out and help you buy. That's becoming like an industry because of what I said. So something's going to happen. It's probably not going to be easy because the Democrats, frankly, they don't want to make a good deal for the people. They just want to make a bad deal for the country. They want to make a bad deal for the Republican Party. But the Republican Party is united, and I will say that what I would like to do is the money doesn't go, trillions of dollars get paid to drug companies. And you still have lousy health care. Obamacare is horrible health care. We want it to go to the people and then let the people go out and buy their own health care, and they'll do great. They'll do great. So we're negotiating that now with the Democrats. Well, congressional Democrats want the largest tax hike in history. I proudly signed the largest tax cuts in American history with the Great Big Beautiful Bill. The Great Big Beautiful Bill, the biggest piece of legislation ever signed, and that includes the extension of the original Trump tax cuts. But it's the biggest tax cut ever signed, and it includes no tax on tips, No tax on overtime and no tax on Social Security. Nobody's ever seen anything like
No tax on overtime. That is huge. That is massive. That's an incentive to work overtime. All right, look, I'm going to be real here. I kind of want to hear what the other members of the cabinet have to say. Just being honest. Every time I watch anything American related, it's mainly just Trump speaking. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because I want to hear what some of the other officials around the cabinet have to say. Okay, here we go.
This is meant to get at
We got
whether it's
we got Pete Hegseth right here. Let's get right into that.
and excavators in the background, and you hear them, and every time I hear them, I love the sound. To me, I love the sound. I wouldn't say my wife is thrilled, because she hears pile drivers in the background all day, all night. They go till 12 o'clock in the evening, day, night, pile drivers. Darling, could you turn off the pile drivers? Sorry, darling, that's progress. But no, we're doing great. It's going to be I think it's going to be the finest ballroom ever built, and we're going to have it here. They've wanted it for 150 years. Think of that. So I will just end by saying I want to thank the cabinet. It's been a great cabinet. Let's think of it. Time flies, but this is our last of the year, as I said, and I just think you've done a fantastic job. And we're going to go around the room. We'll go quickly, but we're going to go around the room, and we'll start with Pete, and you'll tell us about some of the achievements. And some of you have achievements that are so big, I don't want you to go through the whole thing because we don't have time. But we'll start with Pete, and then if you want, we'll take some questions at the end. Please, Pete.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. As you said, it has been a historic year at the Department of War. Recruiting and retention over this year are at the most historic levels our country has ever seen. When I had a chance to be on a aircraft carrier destroyer over Thanksgiving, the spirit in our ranks since the election under President Trump is unprecedented. I've never seen anything like it as a soldier myself in uniform, and I know a lot of you feel the same way. We've ripped out the DEI and the political correctness. It's all merit-based at the department. We're getting back to basics: accountability, training, readiness, lethality, and that's reviving that spirit. And Mr. President, we're rebuilding the military, historic investments. I just took briefings on the Golden Dome and F-47, next generation capabilities that are going to make sure that for generations to come, America has the most powerful, most capable, most lethal military in the world, which you have rebuilt once and we're rebuilding again. And then we're reestablishing deterrence and credibility. If you look at what happened, we deal with every day the outcome of what happened in Afghanistan, the debacle under Joe Biden. We just dealt with it in the streets of Washington, D.C. with those 2 National Guardsmen. And then what happened on October 7th with Hamas, what happened in Ukraine, a war that never would have started under President.
By the way, apparently there was an update. Let me see if I could find it. Speaking of the National Guardsmen, apparently one of them is making a recovery to some degree and is responsive. Let's see if I can find this real quick. I'll continue to play this.
President Trump, we're having to rebuild that. So whether it's freedom of navigation and taking the fight to the Houthis, whether it's Midnight Hammer, those beautiful B-2s going 37 hours back and forth, undetected, delivering with precision, and Iran not getting nuclear capabilities, Europe and NATO stepping up to 5%, locking down our southwest border. It's been an honor to work with Christy and Tom and everyone else down there to lock it to 0, operational control of our border. And then it's getting after and going after narco-terrorists and designated terrorist organizations in our own hemisphere. As I've said,
Yeah, so here from the Washington Times, and it's been pretty much covered everywhere now. Andrew Wolf, awake and responsive. So I have no idea. I have no idea, guys. That is like a miracle. That's all I can say with that one. It's absolutely crazy.
and I'll say again, we've only just begun striking narco boats and putting narco terrorists at the bottom of the ocean because they've been poisoning the American people. And Joe Biden tried to approach it with kid gloves and allowed them to come across the border. Cartels take over community, 20 million people, hundreds of thousands of Americans poisoned. And President Trump said, no, we're taking the gloves off. We're taking the fight to these designated terror organizations. And that's exactly what we're doing. So we're stopping the drugs, we're striking the boats, we're defeating narco terrorists, and we're standing.
And Pete, you may say one thing, that drugs coming in through the sea by sea are down 91%. And I don't know who the 9% is,
I'm not sure either, sir, because
but down 91% by sea.
we've had a bit of a pause because it's hard to find boats to strike right now, which is the entire point, right? Deterrence has to matter, not arrest and hand over and then do it again, the rinse and repeat approach of previous administrations. This is meant to get after that approach. And I will just end by saying, as President Trump always has our back, we always have the back of our commanders who are making decisions in difficult situations, and we do in this case and all these strikes. They're making judgment calls and ensuring that they defend the American people. They've done the right things. We'll keep doing that, and we have their backs, Mr. President.
Good job. Thank you very much. Howard?
So we set out to stop the ripoff of the United States of America. This is about global change of trade. We've been ripped off since 1945 when we set this policy. So we set out, and together with my partners, Jameson Greer and Scott Bessent, we set out to change that. So we started, the first one was the UK deal, right? We asymmetric. They pay us 10%, and we get charged nothing. That allows us to export, and that began the process. Then we did the biggest, the European Union, 450 million people, $20 trillion economy. They completely opened their borders to us, and we charge them 15%. That makes America $100 billion a year and turns it back to where our economy is the best. And so it proved that President Trump's trade agenda was the right trade agenda. Then we go to Japan and Korea. They offer us $750 billion in cash to build in America at the president's direction. And we're going to start, as an example, nuclear. Right? We need to have a nuclear arsenal in America of power, the generation of power. So we're going to build hundreds of billions of dollars, financed by the Japanese and the Koreans, meaning they give us the money, we build it here, and we split the cash flow 50-50. We're going to build ships, $150 billion worth of ships in America. That changes the way things work. Right? After those trade deals, then you go to how are we going to reshore? Right? Let's start talking about the auto industry, right? We've been competed against by Koreans, the Japanese, the Europeans. We're kicking our tail. President Trump changed it. 25% tariffs, bring it all home. This year, General Motors stock up 40%, Ford up 34%, and on the same day that we announced we had set all the tariffs, Sean Fain, the head of the United Auto Workers, called and said, I can't believe I'm calling a Republican Secretary of Commerce to tell the president that this is the greatest administration for auto workers in America. Stocks up and auto workers up. That proves that President Trump understands how to take care of the whole ecosystem, both the companies and, more importantly, the people who work there. Semiconductors, right? We didn't build any. The Biden CHIPS Act was a $60 billion giveaway, right? We've now turned that. $300 billion is committed to America. That's going to go up to $750 billion in the next 60 days, right? And then you go to pharmaceuticals, right? $250 billion being invested in America, and then working together with Bobby Kennedy, right? Pounding away on that MFN, working together as a joint team. They're coming to over $250 billion and cutting prices in half. We did the golden share of U.S. Steel to make sure the Mon Valley is protected. Intel gave us 10% of the company, make tens of billions of dollars, right? And the last thing I will say is a year ago today, I was working on transition with President Trump, right? To build the greatest cabinet ever for the greatest president ever. And I, as I sit here today, I can't be more proud of how you did it, sir. You've created the greatest cabinet. It is a joy to be at this table.
You know, one thing we will mention, so they came to see me from Intel, and they had a problem. I said, look, we'll fix your problem, but I think the United States is entitled to 10% of your company. And the chairman looked at me and he goes, you have a deal. Tell them, how much money have we made since I made that deal?
It's only $40 billion.
40 billion. We made $40 billion. That was, what, 3 months ago? Does anybody write about it? Nobody writes about it. That's okay. Mr. Secretary, how we doing with transportation?
Well, Mr. President, so just quickly on aviation, Many of you have heard that we have an infrastructure made of copper. We have to transition to fiber. The last administration said it was going to take more than 10 years to complete the transition from copper to fiber. They had no plan to actually do it. We have already completed a third of this transition from copper to fiber. Now it's going to take longer for us to go from analog to digital. By the way, the rest of the world transitioned 20 years ago from analog to digital. We are just going to do that at the FAA right now, but we're buying new radios. We're going to buy new radar. By the way, those radar are going to be made in America, Mr. President. This phase of the operation will be completed by the time you leave office. It's 3 years. I do need another $20 billion, Congress, to start the second phase, which is really important, and we'll try to get that done also in that 3-year time period, but we need the money, critically important. With regard to commercial driver's license, I think we've covered a lot the crashes that have taken place around the country, and what we found is there have been states that have issued commercial driver's license to foreigners, and they've gone through sham schools, and they're not safe on American roadways. And so, in partnership with Secretary Noem, we have driven those numbers down. We got California, Gavin Newsom, to revoke 17,000 unlawfully issued licenses. We've closed down half of the fake schools that give out these fake licenses, all critically important. Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota gave 33% of these licenses unlawfully. People that should never have a driver's license driving a big rig on American roads, endangering the American people, shameful. We've cleaned up Union Station here in DC per your directive. We're going to rebuild Penn Station in New York. We're going to break ground at the end of 2027, get that project operational. And, Mr. President, a lot of us, I fly commercially, I fly back by the bathrooms. I don't know why that happens. They put me in the back. We've asked Americans to bring their better selves, to bring civility back to travel, to say, listen, let's say please and thank you. And if you have someone's pregnant on your flight and you're as strong as Pete is, well, pick up the bag and help her put it in the overhead bin. Let's be nice to each other, is what we've asked. Maybe not wear pajamas or slippers on the airplane. And I think it's been received fairly well, and I think we can all have a better travel experience when we do that. And just the last point I'll make is there was a big football game where the Merchant Marine Academy that falls under DOT actually beat the Coast Guard with Kristi Noem. We beat them by 1 point, and so we're very proud of that. And so well done, Kings Pointers. So.
All right, we're going to briefly switch gears, and then we'll come back to the cabinet meeting. I think this might be part of the new standard going forward, that we play a Moose on the Loose video. So, hold on here. Let me just get this up. Once YouTube wants to cooperate.
Negotiations on SAFE have been concluded. Why can't you tell us how much Canada is going to have to pay?
He's back. Welcome back to Moose and Lose. My name's David. Today, Mark Miller is back in Mark Carney's cabinet. That's right. Mark Carney doing his cabinet shuffle. He moved around a few pieces. Algoma news continues to be in the news here. We've got a ton of stories. Let's jump into this. Starting this one off, I thought this infographic really breaks down Abacus Data's new poll here, showing the top issues in which parties dominate what. You can see conservatives dominating immigration, crime and safety, economy, cost of living, and then housing is tied at 39%. And the liberals are winning at healthcare, U.S. relations, and environment. It's unbelievable that people think that Mark Carney is doing a good job with Donald Trump. How is this not at least moved up here somewhere? How is it 56%? Moving ahead, we got this one from Rebel News. The conservatives are hammering Mark Carney on his loopholes in committee, and they've gone to another round of committee here, and they've dubbed it the Carney loophole as questions mount over PM's million-dollar holdings. Conservative MPs are pressing Mark Carney to shed his millions in corporate holdings, warning that glaring conflicts of interest can no longer be ignored. This won't be changed until conservatives get in power. Obviously, Carney wants to rip us off. He's not going to change the laws. Speaking of getting ripped off, we've got Mary Simon, the Governor General, back in the news here. Turns out access to information requests have showed $4 million and $8 million on an ice skating rink back in December 4th, 2024. One sole source $377,000 contract was awarded to a supplier, Glace Concept Expertise, to install the refrigerated ice system. They also put a big roof over this. Like, it's just outrageous waste amount of money. This is just as bad bad as the $8 million barn. Remember that? Moving ahead, we've got Elizabeth May saying voting for the budget was a mistake and it won't happen again. She says he obviously thought...
Oh, you don't say, Elizabeth. Wow. Wow. Oh my God. Absolute rocket scientist Elizabeth May coming to the conclusion. Woo! Oh, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Elizabeth, just take the Green Party and go elsewhere with it. I don't know where, but just get out of Ottawa. Just leave, please and thank you. Like I'm trying to be nice at this point. I could say some really rude things, but I'm not going to. So just do everybody a favor. Take the NDP with you, maybe, and you can all just like screw off.
Getting a deal with Danielle Smith was more important than his word. She doesn't like that Mark Carney was doing this phony baloney MOU with Danielle Smith. She goes on to say, I kept my word. I voted for confidence in this government. I will not make that mistake again. I don't think anyone's really surprised at this.
And I don't understand why they are so upset about this MOU, because no pipeline has been guaranteed. Nothing has been guaranteed. The only thing that's been guaranteed is that the industrial carbon price will be raised 600%. And that's it so far. No talks of a pipeline actually being built. No private investors yet to build said pipeline. And they're probably just going to go build them in the States. I don't know why they would want to build them here when the thought process is we're going to continue to raise the carbon tax. Like, oh, we'll let you build in here, but yeah, we're going to continue to tax the ever-living crap out of you. I don't understand that.
Point. Moving on, we've got Ezra Levant with this one, pointing out Algoma Steel. We've got Patty Haiju posting this, which, by the way, what kind of... This is a weird looking letter, the font and the layout here. Federal government standing with Algoma Steel with Canada's steel sector. Okay, sure. Whatever you guys say. As Ezra Levant posts out, she doesn't know what to do. She's panicking. I've got an idea. How about you approve a pipeline from Alberta to the West Coast? Do you know what a pipeline would need? About $1 billion worth of steel. Did Trump kill these jobs, or did Carney and his environmentalism? This is so on point. And while we're talking about Algoma Steel, this rabbit hole gets deeper as we have Algoma Steel brass rake in millions of dollars in bonuses. So the everyday worker gets laid off, but the executives, they're well taken care of. Don't worry about that. It says incentive pay the past year was actually dialed back because of concerns with Algoma's compensation committee about workplace safety. Next month, shareholders of Algoma Steel Group will be asked to do something they've never done before in the company's 123-year history. They'll be asked to signal their approval or disapproval of millions of dollars in performance incentives paid to senior executives. So it goes on to say here how much this is. Michael Garcia, Algoma's chief executive officer, base salary $750,000 US dollars, which converts to 1 million Canadian. It says 2024 end fiscal year just released compensation figures showed Garcia was paid a total of 5.6 million, up from 3 million the previous year. These guys are stuffing their pockets here, and it's got more of them here. Rajat Marawan, chief financial officer, 1.6 million. We've got John Nakarato, 1.6 million. Michael Pazuri, 1.5 million. Mark Nagalo, 1.2 million. So Canadians losing their jobs, executives getting huge bonuses. Okay. And this is being paid for by taxpayers. They just got $500 million of our taxpayer money. And what does Mark Carney have to say about all this?
Who cares? That's probably what he had to say about it. Look, it's no shock at this point that Mark Carney is bringing on high-level executives to receive high-level paychecks with bonuses attached to them. Like, he created the projects committee. This is something new. That's something he created, and he hired a bunch of his executive buddies on board. And it's one of the many things he's created so far to hire these people on. It's out there. This is no conspiracy theory at this point. I mean, in an attempt to build Canada strong, all he's doing is building the government stronger and giving his buddies more paychecks. It's just wild. He's not actually going to build Canada strong. I think that's quite clear at this point. That was never the plan. That was never the intention from the very beginning. But for some reason, people voted for him. I am so glad I could sit here and say I did not vote for Mark Carney. Like, I am so pleased I could sit here and claim that, because there are over 8 million Canadians, maybe even closer to 10, that can't say that and are still believing the lies and manipulation that comes out of these people's mouths. It is wild. It is absolutely insane. Like, the country is drowning in debt, and he is just destroying us even further at this point. It's pretty wild, guys.
So this is Pleb's edit from months ago. So aside from executives getting massive bonus payouts, I can shed a little bit of light of what's going on with Algoma. So I've added a bit here to the Moose chart. So if you've been a long-time follower of the channel, you know Dennis Turcotte, managing partner at Brookfield Private Equity Group, used to be the president and chief executive officer of Algoma Steel from 2002 to 2008. So we've already known about that connection. We've got these ones too. So Algoma bought Lake Superior Power CGS from Brookfield in 2018. So we've got that here from the official release. And we've got this one, Algoma and Prince Wind LP. What is Prince Wind? Well, it's wind power, but not just wind power. It's wind power that powers Algoma Steel. Not directly, but indirectly, they put it into the grid, and then Algoma pulls energy out of the grid, and then low carbon. Algoma Steel is one of these electric arc furnace, low carbon steel facilities. That's why Mark Carney likes it. It's part of his net zero agenda. And if they're not using electric arc furnace, they're very close. They're transitioning to it like right now. This directly ties in with Brookfield because they're producing power, and then this gets used by Algoma Steel, low carbon. And as you see here, Brookfield BRP Canada Corp, an affiliate of Brookfield Power. This is a Brookfield company powering Algoma Steel, so no wonder they got a big $500 million handout from taxpayers. Does that have anything to do with Dennis here? I don't know. Who knows? What Mark Carney really needs to do is get his butt down to America and get a deal for Canada, but he's selling us out. And as he's selling us out, we've got Canadian household income tax continues to rise in Canada. This cuts off at 2023, but as of 2023, $23,681. They take our money and they flush it out to places like Algoma or gender sensitive this, that, and the other in Democratic Republic of Congo, or other stupid projects. Brookfield, $200 million to Entropy carbon capture in Calgary, and Canadians lose their jobs. With that, though, we've got Kate Harrison on CBC here getting asked, what could Mark Carney do right now to turn things around?
Kate, Pierre Poilievre has been relentlessly pointing to the Prime Minister's efforts and saying, listen, you didn't deliver what you promised in the election campaign. This isn't good enough. Is there anything Mark Carney can do on Friday that the Conservatives would view as a win?
I think the best case scenario would be a commitment to get back to the table and a timeline to get back to the table. I don't think that Friday is likely to yield much in terms of substance beyond, determining the soccer matchups for next year, which is, not as high a priority.
Indeed.
As the trade negotiations. But I
think it's the highest priority for Mark Carney. He doesn't care about anything else but sports matches. He loves it. Going to rugby and baseball, World Cup, that's what he lives for here. He's just using this as a way to get front row seats.
I think that would be the best case scenario from the
Front row seats, trips around the world. I mean, he never spends time in Canada, and when he does, he's never at question period. He rarely talks to reporters. He actually runs away from reporters because he has nothing to say at all. And he's a defeated, sad man. That's just the fact of the reality at this point. Trump has bent him over and had his way with him quite a few times by the looks of it.
The opposition's perspective and from Canada's perspective is to come up with that timeline. I think, Brad talked about the patience of Canadian voters. I think that we are running up on it, especially when taxpayers are the ones that are footing the bill for the sectoral relief that the Prime Minister has promised, and now seeing that be returned by those companies, decreasing jobs and going away. So I think, the Prime Minister has to recognize that you cannot continue to bail out failing industries without providing a substantive update to Canadians on the status of trade negotiations and what the plan is on trade moving forward.
Sadly, Mark Carney's not going to do any of that. He's not going to get back to the table. He doesn't want to be at the table. If he really wanted to make a deal and get back at the table with Donald Trump, then he would be doing something about it. He would make some sort of move, a small concession to get back to the table. But in Mark Carney's own words, who cares? That sums up his entire rule here as Prime Minister. Meanwhile, we've got David McGuinty here making a deal here to get us a part of the SAFE program, the European Union's Security Action for Europe. How much is it going to cost?
You've all been called here today because the negotiations on SAFE have been concluded. Why can't you tell us how much Canada is going to have to pay?
Because the fine print in terms of the third and final element of the negotiations continue.
This is the third and not final time he was asked this question. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because it's kind of a waste of time, but he gets asked this 4 times in this press conference. How much is this going to cost Canadians? And he will not say. He's like, oh, well, we're working out the final details, so we'll tell you at some point when we don't have to tell you. And it'll come out in some release, some access to information request, as it always does.
Our negotiating team here's how I think Canadians should see this. We've been allowed to step inside a tent, the European Union tent. We've been allowed to participate like no other non-European state has been allowed. We have.
Okay, this isn't good, guys. We're gonna become a part of the European Union under Mark Carney's lead. If they go to an election and they get a majority, my God, we are cooked. We are officially cooked. Like, we're already heading on that path. But if we become a part of the European Union, the fact that we have ministers bragging about our level of cooperation with the European Union and we're not a part of it, holy crap, man. Like, this isn't a good sign. And it's been there from the very beginning. The writing has become more blatant on the wall as the months go by. I strongly think that they're going to try and push to join the European Union at some point. If it's not during this term, it'll be during the election. And if somehow, some way, the Liberals win a majority, that will be the number one thing they try and push for. Because that's what it sounds like. Why are we running to the European Union? Why? Why? To diversify what? Our security? We're attached directly to the United States. Why are we not working with them more than anything else? I mean, at this point, the United States defends Canada more than we defend ourselves. The European Union isn't going to come flying over to Canada. Not in the amount of time the United States can, right? The United States, literally our neighbors. Boom, they're there instantly. Why are we running to the European Union? Like, my God. Look at the disaster Europe is in right now as a whole. And we're running to that. Whew. Ladies and gentlemen. Rough times ahead for Canada. That's pretty much all I'm getting at with that one. That is the last thing we would want to be, is a part of the European Union. Talk about a disaster waiting to unfold.
Yeah, because no one else, no other non-European countries want to be in that tent. Why are we in this tent? Get us out of the tent right now.
Negotiated our way into the tent.
Absolutely.
To build this relationship and participate in very large opportunities for procurement.
I don't want to camp wherever he's going.
The details in terms of costs, percentages are being ironed out. They will be ironed out. But
like, I don't know one person who was like, you know what? In the last election, I want to have the Liberal government join the European Union. That wasn't a talking point. That wasn't something people voted for. What the hell are we doing? Like,
the really good news is we're in the tent.
That is not the good news. I don't want to be in this tent. He's making this as if it's some sort of great thing. Probably just going to cost us a ton of money, and somehow this will find its way back to Brookfield, as it always does. Moving ahead, we've got Carney Liberals and the Bloc Québécois have reached an agreement to remove religious exemptions from Canadian H-word speech laws, building on a suggestion made by Liberal Heritage Minister Mark Miller. Yes, that's right. That's his new title, which we'll get to in a second here. Last month, to criminalize preaching H-word parts of the Bible. That's right. They want to go after people for the Bible.
If someone were literally invoking a passage from, in this case, the Bible, but there are other religious texts that say the same thing, and somehow say that this is good faith. I mean, clearly there are situations in these texts where these statements are hateful. They should not be used to invoke or be a defense, and there should perhaps be discretion for prosecutors to press charges. I just want to understand what your notion of good faith is in this context where there are clearly passages in religious texts that are clearly hateful.
This guy is unbelievable. They're trying to wipe out Christianity in Canada and replace it with another religion from the other side of the planet. As many of these people are saying, they're not pleased with this. Moving ahead, we got this from House Commons yesterday. Check out Melanie Joly tap Dominic LeBlanc to pay attention in the House Commons.
If the leader of the opposition and Conservatives actually cared about affordable housing.
So it's clear she was seeing a monitor somewhere, and they could see Dominic LeBlanc was probably taking up a good portion of the screen.
They could have voted for $1 billion to fight homelessness and build supportive housing. They could. These conservatives stalled the first-time home buyers GST break since June.
She's like, wake up, you're on camera.
They have no credibility on affordable housing, Mr. Speaker.
He's like, yeah, I'm paying attention. They just sit there on their phones all day. Moving ahead, we've got Stephen Guilbeault stepping down. Here he is on French TV crying. You were really an ally for us.
Il était là avant. Il était là avant aussi, c'est votre deuxième.
All right, I don't care about Stephen Guilbeault at all, so we're going to head back to the Trump cabinet meeting. I don't give a shit about Stephen Guilbeault. I don't. Like, he left cabinet. Fantastic. Great. He didn't leave the party, though. He's still there. He's still a stain on the party, and he's not going anywhere.
So a little bit in a nutshell, we're rebuilding the air traffic control under boot edge. It's supposed to be boot edge. Who's another grossly incompetent person? He'd get in his bicycle, ride to work, and he was just terrible. What they do is they take the fiber optics and they take fiber trying to hook it into copper, and fiber and copper don't mix. You can't do it. But people knew that for the last 30 years since they started doing the fiber. And they spent billions of dollars, and it didn't work. And you saw that by the helicopter crash. You saw that by Into the Plane. You saw that by a lot of things. So we're doing a brand new air traffic control system, and it's going to be the best, and it's going to be from top to bottom. And we have the 3 top companies in the world bidding on it. And it's going to be one bid, and we're going to have one company responsible, and it'll be the best system. And it's going to make look, our skies are safe, otherwise we wouldn't let people fly. But we're going to have the safest skies. We're going to have the best system anywhere in the world. We're also going to rebuild Dulles Airport because it's not a good airport. It should be a great airport, and it's not a good airport at all. It's a terrible airport. It was incorrectly designed with a good building. Actually, it's got a beautiful terminal. Saarinen was the architect, one of the greatest architects in the world at the time. A great architect. And so they have a great building and a bad airport. But we're going to turn that around, and we're going to make Dulles Airport, serving Washington and Virginia, Maryland, etc. We're going to make that into something really spectacular. We have an amazing plan for it. And other things, but you're doing a really good job. I appreciate it.
The people movers of Dulles, we had a crash recently. So we're going to announce that later today, a request for bids on this. But again, it's a not a great airport, which we can make great in this administration, Mr. President.
We have a design that's amazing for Dulles. It's going to take Dulles and make it a really bad. It was a badly designed airport. We're going to make it into as good as there is in the country. It'll be exciting. Okay, please.
All right. Well, Mr. President, it's good to be here at this meeting because in 1 year you can look around the table and see the change. And I think one of the biggest changes is how this cabinet works together. And I want to start there. There's often been said, I found out some things this year that I didn't know, that the Department of what was Defense, now Department of War, and the Veterans Department had never really communicated. Now, we're fraternal twins, in a way. Pete and I are. He lifts better, I'm better looking. But in looking at this, I mean, he brings them in. He keeps them for a number of years, up to 20 or longer, and then they come into what the country is committed to our veterans. And if you don't have both ends working correctly, then recruitment lags, morale lags, and we've been able to work and fix a great deal of that. I didn't need to change our name, but I did do one thing. I put the veteran back first at the VA, and we did that in 1 year. How did we do that? We started taking things that have been neglected for a long time and put them back. We had a backlog in which we've dropped over 160,000. We're not talking year-to-year change at the VA. We're talking 5-6 year. We have to go back 5 to 6 year prior COVID numbers to see the change of backlogs that are now reduced. We do it in 6 months instead of the long time it took. In fact, it grew under the Biden administration. It shrank over 160,000 under us. CHAM VA, which is a program we have, has basically been back to day to day. It was at a terrible state, which delays and claims and everything's going on. We've got that back. We're doing things like taking a new look. I have one question that I ask when I go to my hospitals, which by the way, over 170 hospitals, 1,200 clinics, and I ask the people one thing, Mr. President. I said, what are you doing right now that if you were just honest and I wasn't standing here, you say, this is stupid? It's been amazing what we've gotten, and the feedback that we've had. We've been able to change how we do credentialing, how we do privileging, how we do hiring. We're all working through that, and it has all made a difference for our veterans as we go forward. CNP exams for veterans out there listening. If this is the one where disability claims, where they say, well, let me send you to a doctor to make sure. Most of the time we have that already in the record. We're working now to where those could actually be changed, where we just look at the record and not have to send them to the doctor. That's almost a $3 billion savings that we can let, and also not taking what the veterans get. We're also getting ready to announce here pretty soon a reorganization that's going to bring our hospital system organizationally in line with the 21st century. We are the largest healthcare organization. It's about time we acted like it, Mr. President. You gave that leadership, we're going to do it. And also one thing, community care contracts getting ready to go out. It's one of the largest contracts in the federal government, but it does exactly what you and I have talked about before, making sure that our veterans can get care in the system or in the community, wherever they want it. We're getting ready for that. Now I have one thing for all the press who really enjoyed the first of the year, saying, oh, you know, they're going to cut all these jobs, 80,000 this, 80,000 at the VA. Mr. President, every success that I just gave you came after the fact, or pretty much after the fact, that we had 30,000 take early retirement. Early retirement, no risk, although you reported it as loss and risk, you can't help yourself. 30,000 took the retirement. Every bit of the success that I just told you about came with a reduced workforce. There was a motivated workforce that said, how can we take care of veterans? That's what this cabinet does. That's what we're doing for you.
Good. And you've got the highest approval rating we've ever had at the VA, so that tells you something. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much. Jameson, please.
Well, there's been some activity on trade this year. You know, for about 75 years, we had a system, global trading system, that was premised on the United States having totally open borders, right? Not just on immigration, but on goods and services, and everyone else generally kept higher tariffs, higher non-tariff barriers, et cetera. Obviously, the outcome was we had a huge trade deficit. You took it head on. You gave all of us who work on the file a lot of leverage. So we spent the past 10 months or whatever we've been doing now just going around the world and flipping the script. So now we're in a situation where we've protected our industries, we have the tariffs, and the other countries have decided to take their tariffs down and non-tariff barriers. And we've done it in a very constructive way. We've achieved agreements on reciprocal trade, which are a new kind of trade agreement that's really focused on making sure we have balanced trade, we have reciprocal trade, that we're treating each other fairly. And it's been embraced by the international community. And it's going to be exciting to see what it's like 5 years, 10 years from now, because you've changed it. And that's how it's going to be now. And I think you should be commended for it, and we look forward to seeing what comes in the next few years.
Thank you very much. You're doing great. He's doing a great job. Thank you very much. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last time I was here, I said that the amount of dereg that we had for regulatory was 30-1. Since then, it's up to 48-1. Your goal had been 10-1, which was in excess of 6-1 in the first term. It's actually much higher than that, but I made my team redo the threshold a little bit because it sounded so unbelievable. But the amount of work that's being done with this entire team is astronomical. And another detail in that is that when we propose a rule, some of the biggest ones that you care the most about don't go into that count until they are finalized. So next year's we should be even more eye-popping. One of those to talk about is the federal acquisitions regulations, which you gave us a charge 6 months ago to dramatically reduce. In 6 months, we've lowered it by 25%, 500 pages, 2,700 mandates, which is a third of the mandates. That's going to lead to savings, competition, and speed. So probably $40 billion for the agencies in savings over the course of 10 years. When we get up and running, it'll be north of between $200 and $400 billion. Competition, about 45% of government bids only have one bidder. So you got no competition in that situation. That will now change, and then we're just getting faster, months, and hopefully we turn it into years, which means you all around this table can buy things that you need quickly, and that you have better vendors to come, many of them small businesses who want to participate in the federal procurement process. So making all sorts of improvements on that front is very exciting. Thank you, Mr. President.
Greater than the regulations. We're cutting them at levels never seen before. And I have the record from the first 4 years, but we're blowing that record away, so it's been really great. Good. Scott?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Great to be with everyone. And, you know, when you were giving your report, which was fantastic, and I listened to the report of all my colleagues here and those that will come, it reminds me when I played in the NFL, we had this thing called game film. You know all about film. And we had a saying that said, the film don't lie. The film tells a real story. And I hope that the American people, when they watch the film that's going on now in this time in our history, that they will see that America is greater today than it ever has been. And so I thank you for that. And thank you for giving us good stories that we can tell for the American people.
Scott, we're saving our country.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I don't want to be braggadocious. We're saving our country. Our country was going down and would never have been able to come back. We're saving all of us, but we're saving our country. All right, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. So at Housing and Urban Development, in keeping with your executive order, sir, in making America's streets safe and beautiful again, we've been very intentional about making public housing in our country safe. And I want people to know, our colleagues know this, but people in America know that we actually care about people that live in public housing around our country. A lot of public housing is wrought with crime, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, illicit drugs, illegal aliens living in public housing, but we've put them on notice to let you know that it's not lost on us. We care about the people, we're paying attention to it, and we're gonna root out crime in public housing. We've been very focused on working with the Memphis Safe Task Force, the DC Safe and Beautiful Task Force, working with Pam and Christy and others, and law enforcement. Our law enforcement is tremendous. Every single night they go out and they go to public housing to make sure that our people are safe, mothers and children are safe. And so at HUD, you know, it's a different day. We're running new plays. The film was real bad when I came in, I'm gonna be honest. But we are giving the people that live in public housing the assurance that they will be safe. And we also announced a new crime hotline, sir, that people that live in public housing, if they see criminal activity, if they see illegals living there, if they see drug trafficking, if you see it, if you hear it, report it. Don't be afraid. And so work with our Office of Inspector General. We've set up this crime hotline, and also working with Christy and Department of Homeland Security, making sure that everyone that lives inside of public housing is accounted for and that they are American people. And so I say that and I emphasize that to know that we prioritize American people and American people only. Lastly, sir, in Atlantic City, we took over the Atlantic City public housing because the living conditions were deplorable. And they have people that have been living there for 3 generations, and they were being treated very bad. And so I took it so that we can now give people a safe place to stay. And working with the First Lady in the Foster Youth Initiative has been a great joy for me and our team. So thank you for doing that executive order to make sure that
All right, we're going to switch gears over to the House of Commons because Frank Caputo right now is speaking, and he's a damn good MP. He's pretty funny at times too, but serious stuff. Serious business. Let's hear what he has to say.
Thompson Nicola.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Jeez, I was having such a good day until you told me I'd be interrupted for question period.
Ruin your video.
But hey, democracy can't wait. Mr. Speaker, it's always a pleasure to rise on behalf of the people from Kamloops, Thompson Nicola. And being on the House here, I see many people in the gallery. I'm not allowed to point out the firefighters and the fire chiefs that are present. So I just thank them for being present in Ottawa, including my own fire chief, who is including my own fire chief. Well, I wouldn't be able to say whether I saw him up there anyways, but Mr. Ken Uzeluk, who I met with earlier. So whether or not Chief Uzeluk is watching or not, hypothetically speaking, I thank him, and I thank all of our fire chiefs who bravely keep us safe, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, welcome to the chair. We are talking about the Budget Implementation Act here, Bill C-15. This is the way I look at this. If somebody was to say, well, how does the Budget Implementation Act work as opposed to the budget? The budget is a forecast, but you have to actually implement that. Now, interestingly enough, I was in SECU committee, which is colloquially called public safety, the Public Safety Committee. And when we were there, we were talking about CBSA officers, because this government promised 1,000 new CBSA officers. When? April. Elbows up. We're going to get them. So I've asked many times, Mr. Speaker, where are those officers? You haven't hired any of them, right? Have you? Not you, Mr. Speaker, to the government, have you? And the answer is always no. But today we heard, well, 57 officers were hired. And I said, well, how many of those 57 officers were hired pursuant to that promise? And I was told to look at the budget. But the Budget Implementation Act hasn't passed. So if the money is earmarked for those officers and the government hasn't brought the spending authority forward, I'm not sure if any of them have been. It's obviously...
And that's the whole question. This is exactly what the video I just uploaded was about. It was this entire committee with Frank Caputo. Yeah, I have it here that 1,000 border officers are to be hired. Only 57 have been hired. And according to what the witness claimed, at the end of the year, at the end of this fiscal year, there should be over 100. But they plan to, I guess, hit this target over the next 3 years. I don't think so, guys. That just sounds like a bunch of BS. And it goes on and on. That entire committee was very eye-opening. And just shows that they're not going to pull through on even more promises. Shocking, right? No, not at all. They are the same liberals, the same liberal ministers, the same liberal government, just spending even more than we could have ever imagined.
Something to look at, but generally when we have the president of the CBSA, when we have the commissioner of corrections, we do expect them that when they come to committee that they know their numbers. So I was disappointed at that. I was also disappointed, Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister told young people they would have to make sacrifices. I have children, that's no secret. They're still young enough, they're not adults, in other words. And I worry about their future, Mr. Speaker. I still remember when I bought my first house and thinking how far stretched I would be for that first house. My wife and I had both just graduated law school. We were making first-year lawyer incomes, which for a lot of people, they don't realize it's not as high as people quite expect. But we were making money sufficient to pay our bills. And we bought our first house in 2008. That house is now double the price as it once was as an entry-level home. So when the Prime Minister talks about young people making sacrifices, it's very easy for somebody who is fortunate, either fortunate enough to be an MP or fortunate enough to be very wealthy or even marginally wealthy, to say, you know what, you got to sacrifice. It reminds me of when the former Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, said, veterans are asking for more than we can give.
Yeah, that's right.
It is awful. You know who we need to be taking care of? The people who take care of us. It's not... It is not lost on me, Mr. Speaker, that we have first responders here. And yet we send our money everywhere but on the ground. Where are the houses? I was actually stopped by people who are in housing in my riding, Kamloops, Thompson, Nicola, in the airport 2 days ago, talking about how low housing starts are. You would think if you hear any of the ministers on the front bench, you'd want to do cartwheels based on how great the economy is. But I don't listen to the people at the front bench. I listened to people in my riding. You want to know whether something is working, Mr. Speaker? You talk to the people on the ground. Frankly, I think I can speak for my Conservative colleagues, I sure hope I can, that we've had enough of people in ivory towers telling us that we've never had it so good. People in my riding who are lined up at the food bank. Oh, the minister says your leader lives in an ivory tower. Sorry, I can't.
Excuse me. We're in debate, and we have one person speaking at a time. And I understand there can be heckling from time to time. That's sort of a normal part of House affairs. But that I think was a bit more than a heckle.
My God, the day's just begun and Francis is already done with people's shit.
Time when possible.
I guess I skipped ahead. All right, well, looks like we're into statements.
5 years ago in December 2020, this House came together to support my motion to bring a simple, life-saving idea to Canada. A 3-digit suicide prevention crisis line, 988. 1,000 days later, 988 launched in November of 2023. Since that time, over 1 million calls and texts have been made to 988. Every one of those calls or texts represents someone reaching out instead of giving up. But sadly, 12 Canadians die by suicide each and every day. A further 200 attempt suicide each and every day. That's 73,000 Canadians, colleagues. 988 must be the beginning, not the end. As we enter the Christmas season, we must remember that many Canadians suffer silently and fall through the gaps. If you're struggling, please reach out. Help is only a call or text away, regardless of where you are. You can dial or text 24/7 988. And remember, you're needed, you're loved, and our world is a better place with you in it.
Hear, hear. Bravo. The honourable member for Winnipeg South Centre.
Mr. Speaker, this past month I had the chance to visit 3 schools in my riding where students are bringing about positive change in the world. At École Robert H. Smith, students raised thousands of dollars for Cancer Care Manitoba by organizing drink sales that saw them working early hours on top of their regularly scheduled academic responsibilities. They put the needs of others ahead of their own. Over at Earl Grey School, Mr. Speaker, nearly 50 students, guided by educator Lily Goodness-Goodman, formed a media literacy club and a student school newspaper. Their commitment to citizenship can be held up as a model for all to follow. I experienced firsthand, Mr. Speaker, the challenge of being in the lion's den of their media scrums. And at Linden Meadows School, Mr. Speaker, under the leadership of teachers Colleen Nelson and Alex McGavin, students are dedicating time regularly to debating ideas. They're staying engaged with the world around them, and they're doing it in a respectful way. Mr. Speaker, I am so proud to represent these bright young people that are paving the way for a future full of kindness, compassion, and hope. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Barrie Springwater, Oro-Medonte.
Mr. Speaker, Christmas is right around the corner, and in Barrie Springwater, Oro-Medonte, the festivities are already in full swing. Santa Claus parades, Christmas markets, and most importantly, the spirit of giving is alive. Year-round in my community, charities do outstanding work to help the residents of our community, especially during the holiday season. Our local charities such as the Barrie Food Bank, the Elmvale District Food Bank, Christmas Cheer, Senior Wish, the Salvation Army, and Barrie Families Unite all work tirelessly to help support families, put food on the table, and gifts under the tree. As we enter this giving season, I encourage all those who are able to donate to a local food bank or shelter. And to those who need help during these challenging times, please know that these organizations and your community will be there to help support you. Thank you to the employees, volunteers, and donors who help support the vital work of these charities. From my family to yours, I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and to the students who are here from Barrie today, Joyeux Noël.
The Honourable Member for Quebec Centre. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like today to acknowledge all those who made possible the new permanent exhibition Grandir chez les Ursulines, or Growing Up with the Ursulines, at the Ursulines Monastery Cultural Centre in my beautiful riding of Quebec City Centre. It's the result of more than 4 years of work, and this exhibition pays tribute to nearly 400 years of educational and social commitment by the Ursuline Sisters, women who have had a profound impact on the social, cultural, and intellectual development of the greater Quebec City area and our entire country. Through 6 themed rooms and more than 580 objects and archives, including the founding document signed by King Louis XIII, the Grandir chez les Ursulines exhibition invites visitors to discover how these visionary women contributed to the advancement of women's status in Quebec. I invite all members of this House and all those watching today to visit this exhibition and experience the exceptional legacy of the Ursulines of Quebec.
The honourable member for Airdrie Cochrane.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize the amazing contributions of the Canadian Filipino community from coast to coast to coast.
Hear, hear.
Filipino culture is one that values faith, family, community, hard work, and loyalty. From Vancouver to Whitehorse to St. John's, Filipino families have contributed greatly through their hard work and community involvement. Rarely will you find a church or a community group without Punsit, Tagalog, and friendly smiles. I myself am honored to be married to a Canadian Filipina, and I've had the privilege of meeting with Filipino leaders all across our great country. And today I want to recognize in particular one of those community leaders, Carlos Cabaneros, who is here on Parliament Hill today. And Carlos is the creative genius behind Filipinos in the Six, the largest online North American Filipino page promoting Filipino culture and values. So join me in recognizing the amazing contributions of Filipinos all over Canada, and let us celebrate our shared values of family, freedom, community, and hard work. Maraming salamat po. Tara na!
The Honourable Member for Kanata.
Mr. Speaker, through the Canada Summer Jobs Program, young people in my community are gaining valuable work experience, developing new skills, and earning an income while contributing to our community. Last summer, our government committed more than $1.3 million to youth in my community. This funding helped create over 320 amazing student jobs. These opportunities are helping young people grow through hands-on work with organizations like the David Smith Treatment Center, the YMCA, STEM Camp, the Diefenbunker, and the Canada Food Cupboard. These opportunities not only build confidence and skills, but also strengthen the community organizations that serve residents every day. Applications for the 2026 season are now open until December 11th. I encourage organizations and small businesses to take part and give a young person a chance to learn and to contribute. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Sudbury East, Manitoulin Nickelbelt.
Mr. Speaker, after 10 years of fiscal mismanagement by the Liberals, the affordability of daily life is out of reach for many Ontarians. According to Feed Ontario's 2025 Hunger Report, more than 1 million Ontarians needed a food bank this year, marking a record-breaking 8.7 million visits to food banks in 2025. 1,300 people regularly visit the local food bank in Chelmsford per month. This need is being largely driven by poor decisions by this Liberal government that drives up inflation and the cost of daily necessities for all Canadians. Today is Giving Tuesday, and I will be making a personal donation of food and other items to the Fill the Crib initiative in Greater Sudbury. As a record number of Canadians struggle, I encourage others across the country to do the same if they are able.
The Honourable Member for Joliette Manawan. Mr. Speaker, Jean-Claude Germain passed away earlier this year, leaving behind a cacophony of words, stories.
Will the Bloc actually talk about something else today, or will they continue to cry about climate change? What do you guys think? Because if Poilievre opens up this question period speaking about Quebecers again, and then Quebec instantly goes to talking about climate change again, yeah, I think the strategy is quite obvious at that point. But we'll have to wait and see.
He stirred up Quebec theatre until it spoke in joual and walked on its own 2 feet. I knew him at L'Autre Journal. Working alongside him was like taking a class where the prof laughed louder than anyone else in the class. His entire body of work is a mirror that reflects our wrinkles and our smiles back at us, and we say to ourselves, yes, that's us, and we can be damn proud of it. Salut, Jean-Claude. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for South Shore St. Margaret's.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to highlight an exceptional young athlete from Hubbard's, 13-year-old Asher Davis. Asher has been selected to represent Canada at the inaugural Pan American Optimist Championships in Buenos Aires next month. Out of 15 youth across the country, he is the only sailor chosen from Atlantic Canada, an incredible achievement and a proud moment for our community. A proud member of the Hubbard Sailing Club, he has been training tirelessly to meet this moment. His family and neighbors have rallied against him, showing once again how our communities lift up their young people and help them reach big opportunities and experiences. I ask all members to join in congratulating Asher today and wishing him the very best next month as he represents Team Canada and the South Shore on the world stage. Congratulations, Asher. We're all cheering you on.
The honourable member for Algonquin, Renfrew, Pembroke.
Mr. Speaker, the talented scientists, engineers, and technicians in Chalk River perform leading-edge nuclear research while also producing life-saving medical isotopes. Now this elbows down Brookfield government wants to pay an all-American consortium $1.2 billion a year to manage Canadian nuclear laboratories. We know the Prime Minister has a financial interest in the consortium. Canadians have concerns about the American-owned monopoly having control over Canada's medical isotopes and unique nuclear analytic capabilities. The Competition Bureau has launched 3 investigations, yet the Bureau has been forced to obtain court orders to get the information that they need from this secretive, self-serving Brookfield government. Canadians want the Liberals to stop blocking the investigation into the deal. Canadian intellectual property and the jobs that technology brings will be lost if the Brookfield Prime Minister gets his way.
The honourable member for Sackville, Bedford, Preston.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize an extraordinary achievement by Synergy, a local barbershop quartet in Nova Scotia. Earlier this month in Hershey, Pennsylvania, Synergy Quartet was crowned the 2025 Queens of Harmony at the International Harmony Competition, representing Eastern Canada on the world stage and competing against top quartets from across North America. This is the first time since 1993 that a quartet from Area 1, which includes 9 chapters across the 4 Atlantic provinces, has earned this title, and only the 3rd time in the region's history. The quartet includes Sue Kember and Jennifer Cleveland of HRM Scotiaires Chorus, alongside Adele Merritt and Karina Garriok of Valley Voices. Their victory reflects the musical excellence that exists in our province and the strength of our women-led arts communities. It also speaks to the value of supporting Canada's homegrown arts sector so that talent like this can continue to succeed. Congratulations to Synergy Quartet and everyone involved on bringing home this well-deserved international honor. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for York Durham.
Promises and reality, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister's promise was a so-called generational investment to rapidly scale up housing to meet his target of 500,000 homes a year. The reality is that the budget watchdog said this morning that the new bureaucracy will actually only build 5,200 homes per year. That means that the Liberals are over 1 million homes short over the next 5 years and will only address 4% of Canada's housing gap. And the future isn't any brighter. Yesterday, the Missing Middle Initiative reported that housing starts are down across nearly every GTA municipality. But Conservatives haven't given up on the Canadian dream, the dream to earn, save, and own a home. And that's why Conservatives will incentivize municipalities to cut building taxes, spend less, and keep interest rates down so mortgages can be affordable, and scrap the industrial carbon tax on the steel, the lumber, and every single thing that builds a Canadian home.
The honourable member for Pontiac-Kitigan-Zibi. Mr. Speaker, today, to mark the week of remembrance and action against violence against women, I would like to congratulate and to show my full support to an essential organization in my riding, Mr. Speaker, Entourelle. Thank you to Giselle, Ashley, Christy, Alicia, all the stakeholders who accompany and support you in this essential work. You make a real difference in our riding with your courage, your determination, your professionalism. You bring hope to all women and victims of violence and intimate partner violence. So today, we honor you and your work, and we support you in everything you do. We stand alongside you. Thank you very much.
The honourable member for Portage Lisgar.
This Prime Minister is riddled with conflicts of interest, and companies like Brookfield are raking it in while he is at the helm. Not only did the Prime Minister help his company avoid paying $6.5 billion in taxes, but they're now also Canada's greatest tax dodger. A bike shop in Bermuda? No problem. A couple of tax havens in the Cayman Islands? You got it. Anything to keep Brookfield outside the reach of the CRA. Ordinary Canadians are struggling to put food on their plates and a roof over their heads, while the Prime Minister's elite friends just keep benefiting. And his so-called ethics screen, it's mostly a joke. The Ethics Committee found that 95% of Brookfield's companies, nearly 1,900 of them, aren't included. If they perform well, the Prime Minister is going to reap the reward, so no wonder that he wants to help them. Instead of avoiding questions as he helped Brookfield avoid taxes, the Prime Minister needs to come clean. Is he here to serve Canadians or Brookfield and himself? Conservatives will not stop asking questions. We'll expose this sleaziness and fight to make sure that it stops.
Hear, hear. The honourable member for Fredericton Oromocto.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to congratulate Constantine Pasaris, a constituent of Fredericton Oromocto who was recently awarded the 2025 Canada Volunteer Awards Atlantic Prize for his outstanding contributions to building a welcoming and inclusive New Brunswick. For more than 50 years, Constantine has dedicated thousands of volunteer hours, connecting people from diverse backgrounds and championing collaboration. En tant que fondateur du
As founder of the New Brunswick Multicultural Council, his expertise played a role in shaping multicultural policies throughout the Atlantic region.
National leader, a role model for New Brunswick's multicultural community, and his unwavering commitment to diversity and inclusion continues to enrich our province. So please join me in congratulating Dr. Constantine Pasaris and thanking him for championing multiculturalism in New Brunswick. Merci.
Oral questions, questions orales. The
All right, question period. Here we go.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's bad enough that this Prime Minister has appointed a minister from the Trudeau years who ruined our immigration system and increased the cost of living. But this same minister this morning, the one responsible for heritage, says that he's had it. Says that he has had it with the decline of the French language. We're not fed up with it. We want to defend the French language. All those Liberal members, well, are they tired of someone who wants to defend French language and culture?
There it is. I told you. He's hammering for it.
Mr. Speaker, the government has immigration under control. May I continue? Asylum seekers, the numbers have fallen by 1/3, and we will defend the French language with the greatest investments ever in the cultural sector. Mr. Speaker, the question had to do with the statement by his new minister who said he had had it. He was fed up with the debate on the decline of the French language. The Prime Minister's answer shows that we should all be worried about the decline of the French language. Why is it that among all Liberal members of Parliament, he has chosen to appoint someone who's fed up with defending the French language and Quebec culture? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I am for my new minister. I am against the leader of the official opposition, who is against our action plan for the French language, $4 billion. He's against the investments in the Quebec cultural sector. He is against the increase in Francophone immigrants to Canada. We defend the French language.
Leader of the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, we learned today that 8 months after the Prime Minister was elected, promising to build nation-building projects at speeds not seen in generations, He hasn't even begun consulting with First Nations people about his promised pipeline to the Pacific. And now the Assembly of First Nations has condemned his plan because he hasn't done any consulting with them. Today he will address the Assembly. Will he for once say one thing to no matter who the group he's speaking to, be clear that he wants the pipeline to get built and that he'll get the consultations done to make it happen?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the great thing about Hansard is you can consult it and find out what the member opposite said last week. In effect, would we ram through a pipeline? No, never. No, never. We will consult free, prior informed consent with First Nations. We will work with the province of British Columbia. We have conditions in the MOU with Alberta. We know how to work with the provinces. We know how to consult. We know how to respect. Does the member opposite?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, transcripts are great things, and he just renamed Justin Trudeau's immigration minister to cabinet, the guy who destroyed our immigration system and helped double the housing costs in this country. And that minister has now had something to say about this prime minister's failure to consult on pipelines. He said the consultation should have started yesterday, and it can't be done on a desktop, making reference to his fellow ministers' promise that they would do consultations by Zoom. So why is it that he didn't start 8 months ago consulting First Nations? Is it because he doesn't care what they have to say, or because he just doesn't want the pipeline to get built?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I recognize this situation is very, very complicated for the member opposite. That's right. First off, you have to have a pipeline project. You have to have a private proponent. In order for that to happen, we had to create the conditions precedent. We have now done that because we talked to the provinces. We worked with the provinces. Mr. Speaker, in the Building Canada Act, which was passed before the member opposite returned to this House, we set out the consultation process for nation-building projects.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
So he's broken his promise to get big projects built, and now we learn that he has broken his promise to get houses built. He promised during the election he would double home building to 500,000 units per year. Today, the Parliamentary Budget Officer revealed that his brand new bureaucracy will only build 5,000 homes per year. 99% less than he promised, Mr. Speaker, after Conservatives built well over 200,000 homes at half the cost today. Why won't he listen to us and stop building bureaucracy so that we can start building homes?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the great thing about being a lifelong member of Parliament is you've never built anything and you don't know numbers.
True.
And you don't. Units, 130,000 a unit. That is what we're doing, Mr. Speaker.
So now he wants to quote the PBO.
Mr. Speaker, the only thing that member built when he was the governor of the Bank of England was the housing crisis in that country. And then he built a tax haven in the Caribbean so he wouldn't have to pay the same taxes he imposes on the Canadian people. Our youth need homes, jobs, and hope. This Prime Minister only offers them broken promises and more sacrifices. He even held a photo op in front of a house that was dismantled after he left it. So here we have a Prime Minister whose houses disappear after he announces them and promises disappear after he makes them.
Right Honourable
That was good. That was good.
Mr. Speaker, the House in that announcement was sent to Nunavut. Nunavut is one of the territories of this great country. Nunavut is more than just a place where you fly in, make a photo op, don't speak to the Premier of Nunavut. Nunavut is where we are building 700 houses under Build Canada Homes. Houses that are cheaper, houses that are more efficient, houses that work.
Shipping container heaven.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, last Thursday, the Prime Minister announced an agreement with Alberta, which is a problem in many ways. I asked the government if it would commit irrevocably to not do anything in British Columbia without the express consent of British Columbia and First Nations. The answer was yes. But yet the announcement was made. Now, what is it? No, please be careful with the language you use. This is not outside the rules, but it might provoke a certain reaction, and one reaction can lead to another, and the two reactions can provoke disorder. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We respect provincial rights and jurisdiction. We respect British Columbia. It is absolutely clear in the Memorandum of Understanding that we and the province of Alberta will work together with British Columbia. We need an agreement for a pipeline. The Honourable Member. Now, when you want the agreement of one party to an agreement, you invite them right away because the agreement the Prime Minister signed will apply even without British Columbia. So will the Prime Minister recognize that he has not respected what he said in the House, that he didn't show great respect for the truth when he signed this agreement? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, this was not a contract. This was a Memorandum of Understanding. And this has to do with conditions that are sufficient, but they are necessary. It is not the end of a process. It is the beginning of a process with Alberta, with British Columbia, and above all, a process with Indigenous peoples. The Honourable Member for Berry-Chambly. It's a piece of paper that he signed and which creates obligations. It is a contract. He can call it whatever he likes, in whatever language he likes. Given what is at stake with the moratorium on tankers, given issues with greenhouse gases, given the absence of an agreement with First Nations who voted against this agreement this morning, does the Prime Minister not think he should make sure that all parties should be able to sign this free, prior, and informed consent? The Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, this is a Memorandum of Understanding with commitments, with great investments that Alberta will make in carbon capture. The industrial carbon tax, 6 times greater. And also we are tightening.
Man, I gotta say, this interpreter is struggling. I don't know what the hell she's doing. She sounds like she's eating soup. And Mark Carney is leaving mid-question period.
Mr. Speaker, you can't build homes if you run out of the House. That's right. And that's what the Prime Minister is doing right now.
Oh my God. Mark Carney just ran away from Pierre Poilievre in real time on camera.
Knows that that is very close to the line, and his colleagues know that there's no singing in the House. So anyway, the honourable leader has the floor now.
Mr. Speaker, it's very sad the Prime Minister does not want to debate how we get homes for our youth. Our young people deserve homes, jobs, and hope. He was feeling very cocky a few minutes ago until he worried that I might present him with the facts that the Parliamentary Budget Officer revealed today that his new housing bureaucracy will build only 5,000 homes per year, which is barely 1% of the 500,000 homes that he promised during the election. Construction is falling off the cliff. Why won't the Prime Minister stand in this House and debate it?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, for the record, the Prime Minister is doing his job, and now he's off to speak with the Assembly of First Nations, doing the job of the Prime Minister of Canada, not standing in this House doing quippy clips for Twitter.
We don't know when that now is, really, right? Because it's not necessarily talking about the present, but it's at some point now is a large concept. So the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The Prime Minister could be debating. He's got plenty of time.
I thought the Honourable Member was done. He wasn't done. Sorry, apologize.
As I was saying, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is doing his job and off to give an address and consult with the Assembly of First Nations, not doing quippy quips for Twitter with the Leader of the Opposition, which I know he would very much like to do, as he likes to obstruct, obfuscate, and as he's shown earlier in question period, not have a single handle on a single fact about a single indicator about life in this country.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Let's speak about indicators then. I'm going to quote the Parliamentary Budget Officer. Build Canada Homes, the Prime Minister's program, is presented as part of the government's efforts to double the pace of housing construction over the next decade. That said, the government has not yet laid out an overall plan to achieve this goal. We anticipate that the contribution of Build Canada Homes will likely be modest, and estimate that the program will add about 26,000 units over 5 years, representing 2.1% increase in housing completions, not the 100% increase the Prime Minister promised. Was this just another bait and switch?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, if the member opposite took the time to actually read the report, he would discover that the Parliamentary Budget Officer stated this will build 86,000 homes, affordable homes across Canada. This is the initial investment. I know it's hard for the Conservatives to understand. We're going in phases here. The initial phase is $13 billion, which they voted against in the budget. They're doing nothing to build homes, which matches the opposition leader's record in the past of 6 homes. So,
the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
That minister was literally the mayor of the city that became the most expensive housing market in all of North America. More expensive than New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and now he brags that not only will they only build about 2% of the homes that they promised during the election, but they're spending $13 billion to do it, Mr. Speaker. Failing is bad. Failing expensively is even worse. So rather than having the costly mayor stand up and answer for him, will the Prime Minister have the courage to answer for himself? Where are the homes he promised?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, I'm so proud of the City of Thunder Bay, who just passed through their council.
The Minister may begin from the top.
Mr. Speaker, all across the country, municipalities are stepping up to make new housing available for some of the most vulnerable people in our community. Take the City of Thunder Bay, who just last night, through their council, approved a motion to free up surplus city land for 1,400 homes, facilitated by the Housing Accelerator Fund, Mr. Speaker. That's the work of a government who's behind communities, who's behind people. And here's what we can say about the Conservatives. They vote against the very people that need that help. Mr. Speaker, we're building Canada strong with municipalities like the Municipality Marathon who's here today.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I want to to thank the member for pointing out that we have voted against every single program that doubled housing costs in Canada. This Prime Minister created the biggest housing crisis in the G7 when he was the Bank of England governor. And now he's come here to adopt the same Trudeau-era policies of building bureaucracies rather than building homes. He promised this was all going to change, that the latest bureaucracy would change everything. But today, the parliamentary budget officer proved that he'll only build 2% of what he promised. Why does this Prime Minister block homes and break promises?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, it's rich for the Leader of the Opposition to speak about this. As we all know, when he was Housing Minister and I was the Mayor of Vancouver, he built 6 homes as a Housing Minister. It's a deplorable record. And it's deplorable that the members opposite won't support a budget that has $13 billion for affordable housing, that the parliamentary budget officer states will build 86,000 affordable homes. You won't vote for that, you won't support affordable housing, and that matches your historical record.
Again, through the chair, please. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, it was 200,000 homes, and the average cost of buying one was $450,000, Mr. Speaker. The average rent for a one-bedroom was $900. This government came along and built bureaucracy to block homes and printed money to inflate their costs. They allowed mass immigration that was out of control, that ballooned demand, and left us with the worst and most expensive housing anywhere in the G7. And today, the parliamentary budget officer blew the lid off their latest promises, showing that they will build about almost none of the homes that they actually promised in the last election. Why won't the Prime Minister stand in the House and take account for that?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the lid's been blown off, but the lid's been blown off the tired lines of the Leader of the Opposition, which he's been using for 2 years. He has systematically stood in the way of investments in supportive, in social, in low-cost and low-income housing in this country throughout his exclusive 20-year career in this House of Commons. He has systematically stood in the way of supports like dental care, like child care, like the Canadian Child Benefit, like school nutrition, the very things that he fakes and pretends to care about in this House, but would vote against, and Canadians know he would vote against everything with care in the name, Mr. Speaker. He needs to have...
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, it is impossible for us to vote against affordable housing because there is no affordable housing after 10 years of this Liberal government. Now, one positive idea we could all agree on is to reduce the cost of the steel, the concrete, the cement, the glass that goes into building homes. But unfortunately, this Liberal government has an industrial carbon tax whose stated purpose is to raise the cost of all of those things. Why won't they accept this positive idea to take taxes off home building so that our youth can finally have homes, jobs, and hope like they deserve?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Yesterday it was distressing to see member of parliament after member of parliament from the Conservative side vote against and argue against relieving consumers of the price of carbon, which we have, as you know, in this bill in front of the House promised to do, which they voted against. Mr. Speaker, they will vote against a tax cut for 22 million Canadians. Mr. Speaker, something again that Conservatives like to talk about, lower taxes, but in actuality fight against. So who are they really fighting for, Mr. Speaker? Because it sure isn't the Canadians or the Conservatives I'm talking to in Thunder Bay Superior North.
Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the industrial carbon tax is not just a tax on homes, it's a tax on food. When you tax the steel that goes into farm equipment and the fertilizer that is necessary to grow food, when you tax the food processor, you tax the food. No wonder that since this Prime Minister took office, food prices have increased roughly 40% faster in Canada than they have in the United States. Canadians deserve affordable, nutritious, delicious food on their plate. Will the Prime Minister stand up now and agree to get rid of the industrial carbon tax so that Canadians can afford to eat?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Here we go again, Mr. Speaker. Here we go again with the imaginary taxes. And as my colleague just said, when presented with the opportunity to vote for a tax cut for every single income taxpayer in this country, they say no.
when they get a chance to vote to cut the GST, to remove it on the GST for first-time home buyers, they say no. When they get the chance to vote for the removal of the consumer carbon tax, what do the Conservatives say? No, Mr. Speaker. When the time comes to vote to give Canadians a break, what do the Conservatives say? No.
L'honorable député.
The honourable member for La Pointe de l'Île. Mr. Speaker, the new Minister of Official Languages, the honourable member for La Pointe de l'Île. Mr. Speaker, the new Minister for Official Languages is already fed up with his mandate. Now, he's saying when people say that French is in decline, well, he doesn't seem to care, even though Montreal is becoming more English-speaking. For him, the defense of French is a boring subject which only xenophobic Quebecers complain about. Why did the Prime Minister appoint such a person as minister responsible for official languages? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I went to grade school and high school and CEGEP, all in French. I did my degree, my BA in French, and I have raised my children in 3 languages, including French. I adore the French language, and I will defend that beautiful language till the end of my days. The honourable member for Drummond. Mr. Speaker, the minister really should be fed up with the fact that Quebec is just twiddling its thumbs when it comes to defending French. He should be fed up with the fact that fewer Quebecers can listen to music in French, fewer Quebecers can read in French, can see shows in French, because our language is threatened. Now, is the minister fed up for the right reasons? The honourable minister. Mr. Speaker, what I deplore is politicizing this beautiful language. I know that the Bloc cares about French, but what I'm asking is that they join with us, all members who care about French, and that they support our strategy. For the first time in our history is putting over $1 billion into defending French, and I will do so to the end of my days.
The honourable member for Parry Sound Muskoka.
CTV reports that 35,000 households have left the GTA last year because the cost of housing is simply too expensive. The Missing Middle Initiative reported yesterday that Ontario's housing engine has stalled. In the GTA, pre-construction sales for condos are down 89%, and for ground-oriented homes, they're down 65%. That means starts have fallen off a cliff, and it means it's going to be worse in 2026. So my question, Mr. Speaker, is when the Prime Minister told young Canadians that they would have to sacrifice, was he really referring to the dream of home ownership?
The Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, we obviously face challenges in Ontario and the GTA in particular around housing starts, and that's exactly why we've got Build Canada Homes launched. That's exactly why we're investing in affordable housing at an unprecedented scale. That's exactly why we brought forward the first-time home buyers GST tax cut, which the members opposite have stalled since June. Mr. Speaker, we need to take action. We are taking action on this House. The Conservatives are voting against action on affordable housing.
Honourable member for Parry Sound Muskoka.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's 4th housing bureaucracy, Build Canada Homes, replaces Justin Trudeau's life-changing national housing strategy with less money and even bigger promises. We need 480,000 homes per year in the next 10 years to restore affordability, but the Parliamentary Budget Officer reports Build Canada Homes will only build about 26,000 over the next 5. So why won't the Prime Minister listen to home builders, housing experts, the Leader of the Opposition, and axe the tax on all homes under $1.3 million?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, well, we've had a lot of engagement with the house building, the home building industry, with mayors, with ministers. We've done an enormous amount of effort. Members opposite can go out and talk to people in the community, home builders that we're working with, who are supporting Build Canada Homes. We've just launched and opened the portal for that. The parliamentary budget officers, 87,000 homes will be built as part of this initial effort. And the National Housing Strategy starts again in these years ensuing. It's a combination that will deliver affordable housing at an unprecedented scale. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Terra Nova, the Peninsulas.
This Liberal government promised billions in housing spending, but today the Parliamentary Budget Office exposed that this program is exactly like the last four, an absolute failure. This is just another example of these Liberals promising the same old things and never delivering. Their new housing program is only supposed to get 26,000 homes built in 5 years, only a fraction of the 2.5 million promised. How will this Prime Minister tell this horrible news to young people? Will he simply ask them to make more sacrifices?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's very important for me to point out that my colleague in the opposition from Newfoundland and Labrador has voted against every opportunity to help Canadians. Housing, food, school program, $10 a day childcare, dental care, on and on and on. This is nothing but a circle of tired notes. We need to work together. Canadians want us to work together, and I'll tell my colleague, Newfoundlanders and Labradorians want to see results.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Hill South.
You should be able to work hard, save your money, and buy a reasonably priced home in a reasonable timeline. That was the Canadian promise. But today, the Parliamentary Budget Watchdog confirmed this Liberal Prime Minister has broken that promise. The report says the Liberals' brand new housing bureaucracy is nothing more than a shiny billion-dollar photo op machine, building only 26,000 homes in 5 years. That's barely 2% of the 1.25 million homes promised. And worse, the report says this Liberal government has no plan whatsoever to achieve their own target. So instead of lecturing young Canadians about sacrifice, why don't this Liberal Prime Minister just admit that he bulldozed the dream of home ownership, buried it under bureaucracy, and walked away with a shovel?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
I'm speaking very fast, so I couldn't keep up with the question, but I do want to say one thing. Canadians elected us to do big things, Mr. Speaker, and we are going to build a stronger economy, a stronger country. We're making the largest infrastructure investment in Canadian history. That party voted against it. We are going to be building roads and bridges, community centres, hospitals, and transit, Mr. Speaker, using Canadian steel and Canadian lumber. But the Conservatives voted against all of that, Mr. Speaker, every single part of it, against housing and against major projects, opportunities for Canadian workers, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we'll keep building. We're going to be standing with our workers, unlike the Conservatives.
The Honourable Member for Montmorency-Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, this morning, housing networks in Quebec told me that they are very concerned. There is a great deal of demand for affordable housing, but instead we're getting more bureaucracy. The Parliamentary Budget Officer has also confirmed that the Liberal promise of 250,000 homes will only lead to 26,000. That's 10 times less. In my riding, the average price of housing has gone from $205,000 to $400,000 under this Liberal government. The Prime Minister said young people would have to make sacrifices. Perhaps he's asking them to sacrifice their dream of
Dude, 200,000 for a house? That is like unheard of.
information. It's remarkable to hear a Conservative member talk about affordable housing. In all my years in politics, I've never heard a single housing organization praise the Conservative Party. On the contrary, they've always voted against investing in social and affordable housing. And that's when they're not actually criticizing the entire concept. On this side of the House, we've invested $13 billion to build affordable housing like never before. Thank you.
Member for Burnaby Central.
Mr. Speaker, victim groups, police chiefs, and police associations, provinces, territories, municipalities have all called for a quick passage of Bill C-14, the Bail and Sentencing Reform Act. And as the hate crimes continue to rise, communities across Canada are urging us to move forward on Bill C-9, the Combating Hate Act. Yet, instead of helping advance this important work, Conservatives have been filibustering the Justice Committee, blocking witnesses, and delaying progress. Can the minister update this House on the impact of these Conservative delays and what needs to happen?
Nah, nobody wants your UK censorship laws. That's why.
Combating crime.
Mr. Speaker, do you know who's paying the price for these Conservative games? It is Canadians.
That's right.
While victims groups and frontline police officers are asking for us to act urgently and respond to the crisis and the need of the time, the Conservatives are spending their time filibustering with nonsense speeches about cats and dogs, Mr. Speaker. That's right, you heard it right, cats and dogs. These are procedural stunts that they're playing in order to stop these bills from passing through committee, Mr. Speaker. They're obstructing the committee from doing its job. When it comes to public safety, Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives have a lot of bark, but no bite. Yeah. They are...
The honourable member for Kildonan St. Paul.
God, she just lies and lies.
Yesterday, Algoma Steel laid off 1,000 workers, and those workers remember when the Liberal Prime Minister stood on their shop floor in Sault Ste. Marie just days before the last election and promised to protect their jobs. But today, those same workers face U.S. tariffs, no deal, and now no job. And to add insult to injury, this Liberal government just gave Algoma Steel $400 million with no jobs guarantees, apparently, because now there's 1,000 Canadian workers out of a job before Christmas. So when will the steel workers get the promised protection for their jobs from this Liberal government?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Of course, our thoughts are with the workers at Algoma Steel. I've been in contact with the company. I've been also in contact with the union. And obviously, we know that the entire business sector of the entire business model of the steel sector in Canada is based on U.S. automakers. And obviously, with unjustified and unjustifiable tariffs of 50% by the U.S. administration against our steel sectors, this can't happen. So we've been working with the company, offering $400 million to get through these difficult times as they're pivoting with new products and new markets, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Kildonan St. Paul.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals promised to protect Canadian jobs, and yet the reality is thousands of Canadian families are now going without their primary source of income because the Liberals haven't delivered on their promises. Softwood lumber mills are closing, auto companies are cancelling projects in Canada and moving them to the United States, and in Sault Ste. Marie, now 1,000 people have just lost their jobs at the steel mill. So workers don't need more Liberal platitudes or corporate handouts or broken promises. They need their jobs back. They need results. So when are Canadians going to get the trade deal we were promised?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Mr. Speaker, newsflash, we're in a trade war. And so therefore, because of what is happening
Oh,
right
thanks
now,
for telling us, Melody.
jobs at Algoma Steel and across the steel
Captain
sector
Obvious.
in the country. And that is why we've been there for the
Okay. The member, the minister may continue.
Mr. Speaker, is it from the top? From the top or not? Okay, so Mr. Speaker, my point is that we'll continue to fight for these jobs, and the company was clear today. If it wasn't for the $400 million and the $100 million by Ontario, the very existence of Algoma Steel would have been in jeopardy, Mr. Speaker.
She's losing it. She's absolutely losing it.
Mr. Speaker, my condolences to the 1,000 workers laid off from Algoma Steel in my hometown of Sault Ste. Marie. My dad, Tony, worked at Algoma for over 30 years. The Prime Minister is squarely to blame for these layoffs. In the election, our elbows up PM said he was the guy who could get a good trade deal from Donald Trump. Instead of a deal, this PM said, who cares? And we saw higher tariffs on Canadian goods. The results? These layoffs and others. When will this Prime Minister finally get a deal with Trump?
L'honorable ministre de l'Industrie.
Mr. Speaker, I have a lot of respect for my colleague and a lot of respect for his dad and all those who've worked or are working at Algoma Steel. And that's why our priority and my priority is to make sure that they can continue to earn a great salary at Algoma Steel as the company is adapting to new type of steel for the defense sector and also for the housing sector. And I must say that our Buy Canada policy is also helping Algoma and other steel plants as we'll continue to fight for these jobs across the country.
The Honourable Member for Bellechasse-les-Échemins-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, it takes remarkable talent to somehow spend $15 billion and manage to create more unemployment. Food banks are struggling to keep up, but the Prime Minister prefers to hand out checks to multinationals, $15 billion to Stellantis, $400 million to Algoma. And what's the result? Job losses. Can the Prime Minister explain his genius strategy, which involves paying big businesses for them to lay off Canadians? Could you explain that, please? The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we are protecting the essential programs that Canadians depend on. We are protecting the Canada Child Benefit. We are protecting dental care. We are here to protect and to help families. And on the other side of the House, they are voting against all of those things. The Honourable Member for Bellechasse-les-Échemins-Lévis. I think the member didn't understand my question. Let me repeat. Canadians are struggling to put food on the table because of the cost of living, and yet the government keeps taking money out of their pockets and putting it in the pockets of big business. This Prime Minister managed to find $72 million for Nokia, $400 for Algoma, and $15 billion for Stellantis. And what is the government getting in exchange? Job losses. Is this the new Liberal strategy, making Canadians poorer to make big business richer? Is that it, Mr. Speaker? The Honourable Minister for Government Transformation. On this side of the House, we believe it's essential to support the sectors impacted by the tariff war with the U.S. But my colleague voted against a tax cut that would represent $800 per family in Canada and Quebec. She voted against the National School Food Program that would save $800 per vulnerable family. She voted against the Canada Dental Care Plan, which would help at least 10,000 people in her own riding of Bellechasse. She voted against things like investments in the Davie shipyard, which is struggling to find the skilled workers it needs. I hope she will change her mind and vote in favor of these government programs.
Windsor West. Mr. Speaker, the Feed Ontario Hunger Report shows over 1 million Ontarians went to food banks 8.7 million times over the last year. That's the highest ever. While Canadians are struggling, this Liberal Prime Minister has handed over billions to big corporations with zero job guarantees. $400 million to Algoma, 1,000 jobs lost. $15 billion to Stellantis, 3,000 jobs gone. Why does this Prime Minister always make taxpayers pay for his sweetheart corporate deals while Canadians go hungry?
Secretary of State for Sport.
Mr. Speaker, those food security experts and poverty elimination companies, they do a great job advocating directly to government, and what they are saying is we need more affordable housing. In the last 2 weeks alone, Mr. Speaker, we've announced 857 new co-op housing. And that's really close to home for me, Mr. Speaker, because I'm proud to grow up in co-op housing. Unlike some of the Conservatives who like to call it Soviet-style housing or degrade affordable housing as shacks or something like that, Mr. Speaker, we're creating more jobs. We're creating opportunity for Canadians. And every single time we bring a motion forward in this House to provide that care to Canadians, whether it's through child care or dental care or affordable food in schools, Mr. Speaker, they vote against it.
The Honourable Member for Middlesex London.
Speaker, food banks are seeing record demand while this Prime Minister keeps shuffling taxpayer dollars at multinationals with zero job guarantees. At Cami, pink slips are hitting kitchen tables and it's just weeks before Christmas. Families across Middlesex London are losing their paychecks and they can't afford to buy groceries. The minister said that she'd get an update from GM, but it's been 40 days and she's got nothing. No plan, no transparency, no jobs. So why does this Prime Minister keep making Canadians pay the price for his financial incompetence?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Monsieur le Président, lorsque les conservateurs ont voté contre...
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives voted against Budget 2025. They voted against help for Canadians. They voted against the Guaranteed Income Supplement, rather. They voted against the New Horizons program for seniors. They voted against the tax credit for personal care workers. And they voted against dental care for millions of Canadian seniors.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Northwest.
It's
been 8 months since the Prime Minister was elected, claiming he would build nation-building projects at speeds not seen in generations. Now we've learned that he hasn't even started consultations. He could have started these within weeks of the last election, given the existential crisis that he claimed. The Prime Minister's incoming Heritage Minister said consultation should have begun yesterday, taking a shot at the Prime Minister, and that you can't do consultations on a desktop, taking another shot at the Natural Resources Minister, who said it could be done by Zoom. Has the Prime Minister avoided consultation with First Nations because he doesn't care about them, or because he doesn't want a pipeline built?
The Honourable Minister for Crown Indigenous Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our relationship with our partners, First Nations, Métis, Indigenous rights holders, is of utmost importance. With major projects, consultation and the duty to accommodate will be adhered to. There is no major projects before us right now. This is just an MOU. It is the process that is outlining the conditions to be met. Major projects will require the duty to consult. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable
AKA, it's not gonna happen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Liberal Keep It on the Ground caucus is saying that the MOU with Alberta is not a pipeline approval. There is no project, no route, certainly no consensus, and no private sector proponent. Now, they're conveniently hiding behind the tanker ban, which is preventing us from getting our resources to market, all the while American tankers are happily sailing right by from Alaska down to the lower 48. So, simple question, will the Prime Minister lift the tanker ban so that we can build a pipeline, or is this just a pipe dream?
Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, we are in a trade war. It's time to recognize that. Our agreement with Alberta is about a Team Canada plan to strengthen our hand and put Canada in a position to win that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Liberals just found out we are in a trade war. There you go.
Driving down emissions with strong industrial carbon pricing and a commitment to major decarbonization projects in partnership with jurisdictions and in partnership with First Nations.
Honourable Member for Fleetwood Port Kells.
Mr. Speaker, this past weekend, important discussions were held in Surrey, British Columbia on strengthening our law enforcement and intelligence agencies to combat extortion. Protecting Canadians has never been more critical. Yet, the Conservative play political games and stall measures like Bill C-2, preventing law enforcement from getting the key tools they need to protect Canadians. Can the Minister of Public Safety please outline the steps
the Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, first of all, let me thank the member from Fleetwood Port Kells for the very important question and his hard work. Mr. Speaker, we're taking real action to fight extortion. Last week we had a summit in Surrey, British Columbia that brought together the government of British Columbia. We brought together law enforcement, the extortion task force, as well as municipal leaders in order to ensure that we're all on the same page and we're fighting this fight together, Mr. Speaker. But unfortunately, the Conservatives continue to play games, Mr. Speaker. They're opposing critical bills that will strengthen law enforcement. So I urge the Conservative Party to...
Nobody believes you, Gary.
The Honourable Member for Saskatoon West.
Mr. Speaker, when the new Minister of Culture was Immigration Minister, he said, quote, "I don't see a world in which we lower immigration targets. Whether we revise them upwards or not is something that I have to look at, but certainly I don't think we will lower them," end quote. Then in 2024, he made history by allowing nearly 500,000 permanent residents into the country, the highest ever in a single year. Today, we're in a national housing crisis, emergency rooms are overflowing, and we're in a youth jobs crisis. Mr. Speaker, how does the current immigration minister feel about holding the bag for a Trudeau-era guy who just got promoted for making a big mess?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration. The Honourable Minister of Immigration. Okay. Whoa. We're gonna have to let some time go by here because everyone's getting very excited every time the Secretary of State gets up. The Secretary of State for Rural Development.
It's this guy again.
Thank
My
you
God.
very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm practicing my French.
the Saskatchewan Conservative Caucus. There was 14 of them elected over a period of 10 years. That's 140 collective years that we've had conservative representation from Saskatchewan, Mr. Speaker. And you tell me, what have they accomplished in those 10 years, Mr. Speaker? On housing, on trade, on infrastructure. They have accomplished nothing, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Quite the indictment when they don't even let the immigration minister answer a question about immigration. In a CBC interview back when he was the immigration minister.
I give the floor to the member for Calgary Nose Hill. The member for Calgary Nose Hill.
In a CBC interview back when he was immigration minister, the new Minister of Culture dismissed Premier's pleas for support for a flood of Liberal-enabled fraudulent asylum claims by saying, I think what they, the Premiers, are advancing is a complete crock of bleep. In reality, he oversaw billions of dollars going to house bogus asylum claimants while emergency room overflowed. So my question is this: if that failed immigration minister can get a promotion, does this mean that the current prime minister will promote the current one too?
The Honourable Minister for Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Speaker, thank you very much. Let me thank this colleague and this member for placing her confidence in me and in this government. Let me tell you one thing. Canadians elected this government to...
No confidence.
With a big mandate. We have brought
Oh
in
boy.
a generational budget that includes a sustainable immigration plan. One that will deal with permanent immigration as well as the temporary immigration and bring our global talent. Why does that member and her party keep obstructing every single time? Get on board!
My God, she doesn't even know what she's saying.
Again, through the chair. The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
I'm sorry, it's so bad. Okay, in all seriousness, in 2022, a Jamaican national was convicted in the United States of an aggravated felony of sexual abuse of a minor. But in 2023, the Liberals welcomed him to Canada. Worse, they allowed him to claim asylum, and today, that child sexual abuser is still in Canada. The Liberals voted against Conservative measures to prevent non-citizen child sexual abusers from entering Canada, abusing our immigration system, and avoiding deportation. Why are they protecting non-citizen child sexual abusers? Why didn't they support our policies?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, Canada has a robust system of inadmissibility that ensures that those who are not eligible to be in here will be removed, Mr. Speaker. This year we are on target to remove over 20,000 people who are ineligible to be here, including those with criminal offenses. But let me be very clear, Mr. Speaker. The party opposite, the sanctimony that they put forward on issues of public safety needs to be checked when they oppose the very tools that public safety officers need to do their job effectively, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Labrador.
Mr. Speaker, it's been 19 years since the First Nations Fiscal Management Act came into force, thanks to the leadership and determination of First Nations across Canada. Since then, the Act has evolved into a highly successful and robust system that supports First Nations with fiscal management, local taxation, and access to pooled borrowing. Can the Minister update this House on the important work underway to advance Indigenous economic prosperity? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Crown Indigenous Relations.
Budget 2025 proposes important updates to the First Nations Fiscal Management Act that will enable the First Nations Finance Authority to lend to special purpose vehicles. For Indigenous communities, this makes it easier for multiple nations to work together, borrow as a group, and lower administrative costs. They also provide access to better borrowing rates and more opportunities to take equity in major projects and infrastructure. With improved access to financing, communities can create good jobs, grow local businesses, and build lasting prosperity for future generations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Pont-Neuf-Jacques-Cartier. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's incredible that this member has become the new Minister of Official Languages. That member said again this morning that he's tired of doing something about the decline of French. But I have news. The new Conservative Party of Canada will be fighting for the rights of Francophones throughout the country. Even the Premier of Quebec said that it was a crying shame that that person has become Minister of Official Languages. Is the new Quebec lieutenant just as tired of fighting the decline of French, like his colleague at Heritage said? The Honourable Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture. Mr. Speaker, indeed, French is declining throughout Canada. And what I am unhappy about is the hypocrisy of these Conservatives, who voted against our plan for French with $4.1 billion to be spent throughout Canada to make French stronger in our country. When I was Minister of Immigration, I doubled Francophone immigration outside Quebec. The Conservatives voted against that, and they voted against the $4.1 billion plan. What is truly a shame is their hypocrisy.
Member for Nunavut.
Living downstream from the oil sands, the Mikisew First Nations have higher rates of cancer. Yet this government is developing regulations to allow affected water to be released into the Athabasca River. UNDRIP and their Environmental Racism Act must be implemented to protect the health of First Nations. How can the Liberals proceed with regulations knowing that Mikisew First Nations have not given consent because they are dying from cancer?
The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pollution from the oil sands tailings ponds is a serious issue, and we acknowledge and take seriously the concerns raised by nearby Indigenous communities in the region. We are currently supporting a study of health impacts on nearby communities, and there is a Crown Indigenous working group that is working on water release standards. We're committed to protecting Canada's environment and the health of communities, and of course the Indigenous communities nearby.
The Honourable Member for Kootenay-Alberni.
Mr. Speaker, our healthcare system is already stretched, yet the federal government piles on needless work. The College of Family Physicians warns that the disability tax credit form is worsening the strain and costing patients access to care. Instead of fixing it, Budget 2025 allocates $10 million to help people navigate the same broken system. Provinces already determine disability eligibility. Why won't the minister automatically accept provincial approval for the disability tax credit to reduce barriers and let family doctors focus on patient care?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
Brutal.
Speaker, it's historic. For the first time in this
Not
country,
one
we
clap.
have a disability tax benefit. And I want to thank all parliamentarians that supported this. Unfortunately, again, the Conservatives voted against the very people they say they wish to help. But, Mr. Speaker, Budget 2025 actually goes a step further, and it compensates people for the burden, financial burden of filing, getting doctors' forms to file for their credit. And, Mr. Speaker, we will continue to work with people who are living with disabilities to make sure that they have every opportunity to thrive in Canadian society.
And that concludes question period today.
All right, there you have it.
It is my pleasure to lay before the House, in both official languages, the fourth edition of House of Commons Procedure and Practice, la procédure et les usagers de la Chambre des communes. As many honourable members know, the first three editions were respectively published in 2000, 2009, and 2017. Each of these editions quickly became an essential reference not only for those who work on Parliament Hill, but also those off the Hill who have an interest in the House of Commons. I'm confident that this fourth edition will in turn soon establish itself as the most authoritative source of procedural guidance for our parliamentary proceedings. This new edition, edited by the Clerk of the House, Eric Jantz, and the Deputy Clerk Procedure, Jeffrey LeBlanc, reflects the most current practices and procedures, spanning more than 1,300 pages and containing over 5,500 footnotes. It reflects the depth and complexity of the House's procedural framework. Members will be interested to know that the 4th edition reflects our rules and practices as recent as the spring of 2025.
For the ease and convenience of all, the 4th edition is also available in an accessible electronic format on the House of Commons website.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's live stream. Thank you for joining on YouTube, Rumble, and Kick. Speaker's statement, blah, blah, blah. I will be live tomorrow for question period, roughly the same time, around 1 p.m. Have maybe something to lead into that with. I will see you tomorrow if you are here. If not, have a good one. Adios.
All members, not only to refer to this publication, but to make it a vital resource in strengthening their understanding of the procedural knowledge essential